All right, so you want to get your CDL. There's lots of different ways to get your CDL. You can go to a CDL trucking school and pay, I don't know how much, $3,000 or whatever. Or you can work for a smaller carrier. A lot of times they'll train you. Basically, they're going to train you because they want you as a driver at a discounted pay rate. That's fine. So you're working a regular 9 to 5 and you're just not making ends meet. The best way to get your CDL is through a company. Now, do your research, ask around other truck drivers and ask them, how they got theirs. But this is how I did it. I was working 2 jobs, Home Depot and a gym, and I just wasn't making ends meet. So my dad was a career truck driver. He trucked his whole life, and he did over the road. I didn't want to go over the road. I wanted to be home every day in case, like, I had a family in the future. I wanted to be home for my kids. So what I decided to do is get a local truck driving job. Now, these jobs are good. You might want to do like a delivery job. You work for Pepsi or McLean or any of those. But the way I did it was I started with a company called Brown Distributing. They distribute beer, and I started out as a merchandiser. What merchandisers do is they stock the shelves. So you might have like 4 stores and you stock the shelves at different grocery stores. For me in Texas, it was H-E-B, Albertsons, and then Walmart. You just make the rounds and keep the shelves stocked. But I told Brown Distributing that, hey, I want to be a truck driver. I need my CDL. So they're glad to do it. Okay, so I went and did a few rounds and learned how to drive and learned how to back and even parallel park a semi-truck, because that's all part of your CDL test. You're going to need to know how to parallel park a semi-truck. You're going to need to know how to back. You want to know how to hook and unhook a trailer. And there's a test. I don't know, it's been so long since I've got my CDL, but there's a test that you take, and each test is about 25 questions long. It's roughly about 100 questions. You have to score, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe you have to score like an 85 on each one of these tests. Okay, here's the thing. If you fail it, no big deal. Just take it again. Take it again the next day. They usually don't charge you to retake the test. And they can be a little tricky. The questions can be a little tricky because a lot of them are boring questions, and it's whenever you study for the test, you can get the study book from your local DMV or RMV, whatever you want to call it, and sit down and study that test, study for the test. You fail it, not a big deal. Study for it again, take it again. And it's not so much the information that's hard to learn. It's maybe you might have test anxiety or whatever and just try to rush through the test. But that's how I did it. I went through Brown Distributing, which distributes Budweiser beer in Austin, Texas. And then I worked there for about 3 years. 3 years too long. Okay, they only paid at the time about 34 to 37,000 a year. Get your experience, drive for a year or two, and then from there, I asked around. What I did was I interviewed other drivers. Hey, I just straight out asked them, how much do you make? And I'll get an answer from one guy. He'll say 62. And then the other guy said, oh, I make 65 last year. Interview about 3 or 4 drivers from the same trucking company and ask them, do they like it? And do they have good benefits? And get the whole lowdown before you decide to commit to a company. So I worked at Pepsi Cola for probably 7 or 8 years. And then, I just wanted to make a little bit more, you know. At this time, I had a house and a car payment. Just want to make a little bit more. So I ended up going to a company called McLean Distributing, and they distribute cigarettes and drinks and basically anything the inside of a convenience store might need, oil. And it was really hard work. You work in teams. Your shift is between 18 and 24 hours. So the guy, whatever driver might drive out, he'll run through his hours, and then you come on board and run through your hours and do the rest of the delivery. That job right there was a really good job. It paid about 80 grand a year. Now, if you work up in the panhandle of Texas, which is also called High Plains, you can make upwards of 100 grand a year. And if you choose to live in that area, which is a really beautiful part of Texas, it's flat. The storms are ridiculous. I worked there for a month for McLean to help out. They were short-handed. In that span of a month, there was a really bad tornado. And the guy that I was working with at the time, one of those industrial AC units, they're about the size of a car. Well, it whipped off the roof of McLean and fell directly onto his car. So the storms in High Plains are crazy. And not even a few weeks later, there was like a hailstorm. So, but the cost of living in High Plains, Texas is low. You can find a house pretty cheap, under 100. So you can make a good living there. But that's the best way to get your CDL, is incremental steps. And maybe you want to do long haul. Maybe you want to see the country. It's nice. But I don't prefer to sleep in my truck. I don't know if any of y'all do. But to make a long story short, here I am. Currently an owner-operator, which has been very rough, difficult, and stressful, because now I'm responsible for maintenance and repairs, and you even have to work on your day off because you might have to take your truck to the shop. Pay is pretty good, but you have to work twice as hard as far as trying to get things done. It's not easy. So if you're thinking about becoming an owner-operator, definitely do your research first. Find out how much it pays on average. If you have a lot of bills like I do, you're going to need to make a certain dollar amount. So maybe try to make sure that your overhead is low. It's best if you can pay cash for your truck. I didn't pay cash. I financed. truck was about 80 grand, and the interest rates for owner-op on a truck loan is high, because it's a high risk for the banks to absorb. I have a really good credit score. It doesn't matter how good your credit score is, the interest rate's still going to be high on a truck note. So that's how I did it, and you can do it too. So if you're tired of making minimum wage, think about truck driving. I'm proud to be a truck driver, and you should be if that's the career that you choose. So, hey, thanks. Like and subscribe. I have other videos that tell about the stops that I go to in the New England area, and I'll try to post more videos as I go. I'm trying to get better at this. So, thanks. Like and subscribe. Maybe thumbs up. Thanks a lot. Bye.